want to thank my leadership of the majority side for giving me the opportunity to serve in the Labour Committee, where we had begun to undertake finding solutions and fighting for the rights and the welfare of our people in the Gulf, and particularly in Saudi Arabia, where we recently made a visit and in a fact-finding tour recently. And I want to tell the committee that I have left behind to fight hard, because that was something that I was very passionate about, the welfare of our people, especially the domestic workers in Saudi Arabia, to go hard on this matter. I would love to see a solution on this matter. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I want to give a member who has not spoken today, like Senator Sekirenku.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support this motion by supporting the changes that has been done by this leadership of this House, particularly on the issue of, I'm looking at the changes that has been done in the Study Committee on Trade and Industrialization Tourism, where I chair, and I want to welcome the members, Senator Lelegwe and Senator Esther, to my committee. We have quite a lot of assignments in our committee, and I wish that we continue to finalize quite well the assignment that is on our table. Thank you so much, and I support.
Last but not the least, Senator Okenyuri Esther.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa fursa hii. Ningependa kuunga hoja hii pia kwa kushukuru uongozi wa chama kwa kunipa nafasi ya kutumikia kamati ya ugatuzi. Sisikitiki kuihama kamati ya ugatuzi, ila nimejifunza mengi kwa kamati hiyo kwa muda huu mfupi ambao nimekuwepo. Na ninapojiunga na kamati ya mambo ya uchumi, pia nitakuwa mwenye bidii na kufanya kazi na maseneta wenzangu kwenye kamati hiyo, na pia kuwakilisha vijana na kinadada na wananchi wote ambao wametutuma kufanya kazi hii. Na kwa ndugu yangu ambaye
chair in this Senate is also a good thing. We can now speak about it and say we were there, then we were whipped. So I think that's all I have to say. But I will continue with my ICT agenda through the caucus for women MPs in ICT, which was fought. But now we have a chance to, in fact, I have more time to just deliver the agenda for women MPs in ICT, and I welcome my chair to follow and perhaps learn a few things from what the caucus will be doing out there. And so for this motion, I beg to reply.
Thank you, Senator Gloria. Senator Gloria, you know you are so enterprising. You can get so many things to do at any time. So you are not short of ideas. Therefore, this matter again is not touching on the county governments, and I put the question that notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate made on 13th October 2022 and 15th November 2022 on the approval of senators to serve in select committees of the Senate. And pursuant to Standing Orders 199 to 28 and the 4th schedule of the Standing Orders, the Senate approves the senators nominated by the Senate Business Committee to serve in standing committees of the Senate as follows. Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator David Ofura Wakori MP to replace Senator Maureen Tabitha Mutinda MP. To Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations, Senator David Wafula Wakori MP to replace Senator Esther Okenyuri MP. 3. Standing Committee on Energy, Senator William Kisang Kipkemoi MP to replace Senator Veronica W. Maina MP. 4. Standing Committee on Information, Communication and Technology, Senator William Kisang Kipkemoi MP to replace Senator Gloria Magoma Oroba MP. 5. Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, Senator Karen Jerinyamu MP to replace Senator Samson Kiprotich Chelagei MP. 6. Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, Senator Gloria Magoma Oroba MP to replace Senator Karen Jerry Nyamu MP. And lastly, 7. Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism, Senator Dr. Lelegwe Tumbesi MP and Senator Esther Okenyuri MP to replace Senator David Danson Mungatana MP and Senator Tabitha Karanja Keroche MP. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay?
The motion is on approval of Senator William Kipsang Kipkemoi MP to serve in the Select Committee of County Public Investment and Special Funds. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate made on 13th October 2022 and 15th November 2022 on the approval of the senators to serve in the select committees of the Senate, and pursuant to Standing Order 194 and 197 and 199 of the Senate, the Senate approves Senator William Kisang Kipkemoi MP to serve in the County Public Investment and Special Funds Committee in place of Senator James Kamau Murango MP. Mr. Speaker, from the onset, I would first of all want to congratulate the State Senate. Got an opportunity to congratulate him when he was elected as a senator of Elgeyo. So I welcome the senator for Elgeyo Marakwet, because, Mr. Speaker, we are tasked to look at the investment of funds that the counties engage in or have, not limited to water companies, conservancies agreements, Mr. Speaker, and of course regional blocks investments that any county would have engaged in, Mr. Speaker. So I do believe the senator, together with the members of the committee, will continue looking into the mandate of the State Committee. Mr. Speaker, I ask the members to support this motion so that the member can, of course, when he was voted for, he needed to sit together with the other senators in the committees, Mr. Speaker, because I believe committees really deliver more than even the whole House, Mr. Speaker. So I believe when you become a member of this committee, we're going to take this committee to the next level. So I beg to move. And I call upon the Senator for Trans Nzoia, Alan Chesang, to second the motion.
Senator Kisang, Alan. Chesang, Alan. ICT.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second. And once again, I would like to also congratulate the said Senator Mr. Kisang, who is my immediate neighbor, the Senator of Elgeyo Marakwet, and I believe is one man who is going to really bring assistance to this committee. Once again, Mr. Speaker, I would also like to thank Senator Gloria Orwoba, and also assure you that we will continue with our mandate and make sure that the things that we were pushing while you are there will not stale and or stop. I'll also want to assure the Committee of Labor, the Committee of Labor and Social Welfare, that Senator Gloria Roba is one person that will really help the committee achieve on their mandate. Otherwise, thank you.
Finance Committee in place of Senator James Kamau Morango MP. Senator Chalge.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion. I think from the onset when some of our colleagues were appointed to the cabinet and by election, it was natural that when new members come, we must try and collect them within the various committees. From the onset, I want to congratulate Senator William Kisang. Some of us had opportunity of campaigning for him. Unfortunately, when he was being sworn in, I was not around. Mr. Speaker, we hope he will fit in. Anyway, he's a member of National Assembly and serving for quite some time and former chair of ICT. So I think he's coming with, at the National Assembly in the last session, I think he's coming with a lot of wealth of experience in the ICT committee. And as the chair of ICT has said, we will work together to ensure he settles in and knows, you know, Senate, Mr. Speaker, should be the house of respect. You know, when some of us were working out to get a few stationary items to discharge serious matters, I met people that were taking away the name of Senator Dulo on the corridor. It's very unfortunate. But I hope as we serve in these committees, and Kenyans, number two, Mr. Speaker, Kenyans should know, because I only have three things to say. One, most of the work is done at committee level. So I want to appeal to Kenyans that they should not assume that when a senator or a member of National Assembly is not speaking in plenary, they are not doing a job. Almost 80% of the work, Mr. Speaker, is done at the committee level. Number three, and finally, Mr. Speaker, is it also gives opportunity for members to go around these committees and learning curve experience, Mr. Speaker. It will give an opportunity. All of us want to get exposure. Everybody wants to serve in one committee or the other. Even in this PIC, the Public Investment Committee, is very important. I think Senator William Kisang has never served in the Senate before. He has never served in these committees. My brother who was able to, when he was being sworn in, I was a chief escorter, Mr. Speaker. Although he promised me in my culture, when you do such a job, there should be at least 2 cows, but I don't know. Maybe in Luya culture, Omwami, Senator Kalwala will teach me what they give out, because there was a promise that were made. But I want to congratulate him and a number of senators that changes have happened. It increases the efficiency that we are doing to the House, Mr. Speaker. So wish colleagues well as they serve in those new positions. For us, we are willing to work together. If there is any issues we can discuss to ensure the learning curve of our colleagues comes to prosper and fruition, it will be. And Mr. Speaker, the people on the minority side, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, is I hope as we learn, especially for new colleagues, we should not pick some of the manners that our minority side will show, Mr. Speaker. Because when Jubilee was frog marching us and putting us in Subarus and whipping us, they were the ones, Mr. Speaker, and then who were busy cheering. And I want to assure them, if the Senate could not be destroyed then by handshake, I can tell you nothing else will affect the Senate. This Senate will grow in leap bounds out, it will become strong. And I want to ask my brother, Senator Kituko from Lamu, fear not, as the Bible says. Fear not, don't fear anybody. Fear only those who kill the flesh, the body, and the soul. But this one will only kill other things. I want to assure you, as the good Mr. Speaker, I know you are a son of a clergy. So we want to encourage Senator Kituku to fear not. Don't fear anybody. We are here and we shall work together through that. But we have gone through many challenges, my brother. Our colleague, Senator Lilegwe, our deputy majority whip, to some point he was put in a boot of Subaru, but now he's the deputy majority whip up to all the way from here to Maraland. I'm not saying you must go through to a boot of Subaru, but what I'm encouraging you, things are getting better going in the future. With those very remarks, turn the House leadership led by Senator Aaron Cheruiyot and Senator, our majority leadership, I think this is the side, Mr. Speaker, that we do consultation so that members can get their best and serve to their best. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support the motion.
Now that you have mentioned my late father, he used to tell me that never keep your trust in a man, always trust in God. Amen. And that is why you people did not keep your trust in man last time. You trusted in God, and now you are serving in good positions. Similarly, Senator, my friend, Eduku from Ram, fear not, as you have been told. Next time you will be in a better position than where you are. Therefore, I want to give now Senator Mbugua Mongai, George.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of this motion and congratulate my friend, Senator Kisang, on the new assignment. Mr. Speaker, I also want to congratulate the leadership of our side, the majority side, for the way they have treated us, especially the new senators. We are happy. We've been having a very peaceful time. We've been taken care of by the leadership. Personally, I'm indebted to Senator, the bullfighter, Bodi Halwale, and we are happy. We have settled well. I support.
Thank you, Senator Karwale. When next time somebody praises you, don't clap yourself for yourself. You wait for other people to clap for you. Maybe I can request them to do it for you so that you can feel happy at least. Yes, good. That is nice. Senator Medu. Then Senator Veronica, next. 2 minutes each, kindly.
Maybe, Mr. Speaker, I know why Senator Halole has to clap very loudly. He really gets those kind of accolades because he really does very good things, but it's okay. Now, Mr. Speaker, I also want to support this motion. As many of my colleagues have said, the movements are very important for our learning. I had an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, of serving in the committee that Senator Akoli will be serving. I served in the Public Investments Committee, albeit for a day, when I was sent there by the majority whip to serve in that committee for that one day. And I would want to say that even if it was for a day, I had my fair share of lessons from it. And Mr. Speaker, as I went up, I think these are major lessons that we need to learn on the way movements are being done on the side of the majority. We do not need to disagree or look like some members are lesser members than the others. Any of us can be in any committee. Any of us can be in any position of leadership. We do not have to do the kind of hula baloo that I witnessed this afternoon. It is as easy as people sitting down, agreeing, so that we are able to move, all of us. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I feel it is a big injustice to the people that elected, the people that walked out. Article 1 of the Constitution of Kenya says that power belongs to the people. They exercise it directly or through their elected representative. I do not think, Mr. Speaker, there is anybody that was elected to the Senate of Kenya to come and walk out. There's no way. We are now discussing very important matters here. And the people of the constituencies of the senators who left, they are not represented in the Senate. We have just discussed a very important bill, rather a very important bill has been brought by the Committee on Finance and Budget. The people of the constituencies of the senators who left, they are not represented. Nobody is there to speak for them. But maybe then it is time, especially for the people of those regions, to reconsider on the kind of people that they are electing to the Senate. I do not think, Mr. Speaker, the people of Nyandaro would clap for me for walking out of the Senate, Mr. Speaker. So that is something that we really, as a people, must agree that it's not the kind of leadership that we want for our country. And if that is the kind of, because, Mr. Speaker, you must also get to understand where this matter came from. Yesterday, there was a PG of the senators who walked out. So if these are the instructions of their party leader, who claims that he would have wanted to be a president, it means that he would have walked out on the problems of the people of Kenya. If he's not able to sort out our economy, he would just walk out. If he's not able to sort out our roads, he would just walk out. If he's not able to walk out, to work on our health, he would just walk out. Because if that is the kind of instructions that he gave his members, then it means that he believes in walking out. So, Mr. Speaker, time for such kind of leaders is long gone. And as I wind up, Mr. Speaker, as young people of this country, we need and must invest in ensuring that we change the paradigm of the political order that has been there, so that we can be able to have it ourselves, so that we're able to take the country where we want it to be. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Veronica Waheti Duati.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Senator Veronica Maina. Duarte is still my father's name. I prefer Maina. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to support the motion that has been presented to the table. This is a motion where members from the majority side have been assigned different committees, and sometimes change can bring discomfort, but all the same, what we must acknowledge and accept is that all the senators serving in this house are equally qualified to serve in any capacity, and I believe all the members who have been assigned different committees have the requisite qualifications and skills to serve to the best of their ability, Mr. Speaker, sir. I was serving at the Energy Committee, and Mr. Speaker, sir, I would want to urge the new member who is replacing me in the Energy Committee to continue co-working with the colleagues in the Energy Committee, the other senators, and Mr. Speaker, sir, to specifically focus on the cost of power bills in the Republic of Kenya, because we cannot continue talking about the cost of living being high when the power bills are at an all-high level. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would congratulate all the members who've been moved to different committees and those who've been assigned committees who did not have committees, and I would urge every committee to dispense its mandate with the seriousness it deserves. Mr. Speaker, sir, there are some members who are assigned committees, but they actually do not attend the committee meetings. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is the responsibility of every member who's been assigned, and we would specifically persuade members on the majority side to take their responsibilities very seriously within those committees, dispense what is supposed to be done, and enrich the processes that are being done by the Senate. Mr. Speaker, sir, on a very different note, I want to bring your attention to Standing Order 43, which deals with the order of business of the House, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I hope I will not be out of order, to indicate that when business is being introduced into this House, Mr. Speaker, sir, it needs to be placed before Senate within a certain period of time, and it is posted to the parliamentary website at least 12 hours before the Senate meets. And if there is a supplementary order paper, it should be made available at least 1 hour before the Senate meets, Mr. Speaker, sir. So the kind of sabotage I have seen being pushed by the minority side was actually against Standing Order 43, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I would want to urge this House, Mr. Speaker, sir, if we have to show semblance of order and procedure and total etiquette in the Senate, Mr. Speaker, sir, you must, and Speaker's panel must come very heavy on the standing orders that deal with disorderly conduct, because we have seen very unparliamentary language being used today, Mr. Speaker, sir, especially reference to Chihuahua. I would have even loved to speak when the minority side is on their positions. Because the reference of Chihuahua, the little dogs in Chihuahua of Beverly Hills, Mr. Speaker, sir, would have nothing. It is very unparliamentary, should not be allowed in this House, and should not be allowed to interfere with the business of this House. And Mr. Speaker, sir, while we may not agree with some of the conduct or the manner business is being conducted by the minority side, Mr. Speaker, sir, we must enforce and affirm and ensure that the standing orders are respected. I have watched the minority side disrespect your ruling, Mr. Speaker, sir, and that should not be tolerated, because if it is tolerated, a day will come when no business will be conducted in this House, Mr. Speaker, sir. So I support the motion that is before the House, and I congratulate the members who have been appointed different committees.
The last one from Senator Wakili Hilary. Is it on this motion?
Well, Mr. Speaker, yes.
Okay.
I'll be very brief because I understand the directions that you had earlier on given. And Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support the changes that the majority side of the House has made in terms of the leadership and membership to the various committees of this House. As has been supported by the members who've talked before me, every member from the side of the majority has got the capacity to take charge and responsibility of the business that is supposed to be transacted in the committee. And I congratulate the members who've been assigned the various roles, and in this case, including the person whom we are meeting about, that is the Senator Kisang. And Mr. Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Senator David Wakoli, last kabisa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Ningependa kushukuru kwa uteuzi wa seneta mwenzangu ambaye alichaguliwa juzi kuhudumu katika kamati hii ya teknolojia, na kusema kwamba sasa ni wakati watu wanasonga kwa mawimbi ya teknolojia, na tunakumbuka kwamba tuliwaahidi wa Kenya kwamba shule za msingi na shule za upili na vyuo vya anuwai vile vile vitaweza kuunganishwa na teknolojia na vyuo vikuu. Vile vile tunaweza kushuhudia kwa mtandao kwamba pesa za bottom up, zile za Hustlers Fund, vile vile zinaweza kuchunguzwa na kudadisiwa kupitia teknolojia, na hivi kwamba naafiki wote ambao tumepewa nafasi kama mimi kuhudumu katika kamati ya ukulima, tutaweza kushughulikia masuala ya miwa, masuala ya ngano, masuala ya mifugo kule maeneo ambayo kuna ukame, kuhakikisha kwamba Wakenya wote wananufaika kwa serikali ya Kenya Kwanza. Nashukuru Bwana Spika na naunga mkono. Asante.
Asante sana. The mover now to reply.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. As I rise to reply, I need to bring to the attention of this House that as we are constituted now, no senator garnered more votes than myself, and I'm not shouting about it. And I'm not disrespecting anyone, Mr. Speaker, because I understand as we are in this House, we are all equal as we are brought into this House to represent our people. Mr. Speaker, I'm not even telling you, I got votes 48 times than the senator, my friend from Lamu, whom I respect very much. Mr. Speaker, as I move to reply, I thank the members of this House for supporting this motion. I think it is my first motion, and nobody has opposed this motion. And I agree with Senator Cherargei saying that, Mr. Speaker, that 80% of the Senate work is done in the committees. That is true, and I would like that to be remembered by this House when we go along in conducting our business. Mr. Speaker, Senator Mbogwa requested that we support the new members so that they can have the experience of other members who have been here, including the ranking members, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I reply, thank you very much, Senator Medu, because you highlighted a point, Mr. Speaker, that was very important, that in this side of Kenya Kwanza, even if you're removed from committee, the disagreements are bringing about agreement. Mr. Speaker, Senator Veronica said sometimes when we are moved from a committee, it brings about discomfort. But that discomfort has not been portrayed in this House. We are able, as Kenya Kwanza, to sit down and agree once we look at anybody's talents, the profession, or even the performance of every senator. So I agree. Mr. Speaker, as I reply, thank the other senators for supporting Senator Sigei, and of course, Senator Wakoli. And I would also mention that we were talking about the Committee on County Public Investment Committee, which in short we call it CPIC. But I know Mr. Wakoli, as he was thanking the senator for being introduced or brought about in this committee, he is well aware that the same senator is in the Committee of ICT. Maybe there was a little bit of mix-up, Mr. Speaker. So I reply. Thank you.
Thank you. This motion does not involve counties, county governments, and therefore I want to put the question that notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate made on 19th October 2022 and 15th November 2022 on the approval of senators to serve in select committees of the Senate and pursuant to standing orders 194, 197, and 199 of the Senate approves Senator William Kisang Kipkemoi MP to serve in the County Public Investments and Special Funds Committee in place of Senator James Kamau Murango MP. Whereas many as of that opinion say aye. Whereas many as of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number
back
7.
To the order number 7.
Order number 7, statements.
We have a statement from Senator Mundigi. Alexander.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I arise pursuant to standing order 53.1 to seek statement from the Standing Committee on Education on reversal of the localization of teachers policy in Embu County by the Teachers Service Commission TSC. In the statement, the committee should 1. State the number of requests received by the TSC from teachers wishing to transfer to schools in their home counties following the reversal of the localization of teachers policy by government, stating why it has taken inordinately long to comply with the government directive. 2. Inform the Senate how many requests by teachers to be transferred to their home counties have been granted, giving a breakdown per county and further state when the pending request will be processed. 3. State reasons why the Teachers Service Commission is authorizing the transfer of teachers from other counties to Embu County, while not approving similar requests by teachers whose home county is Embu, even after the Saint teachers requested TSC to be transferred back to their respective sub-counties in Embu. And 4. Spell out measures in place to address challenges faced by TSC in implementing the reversal of delocalization of teachers policy by government. Senator Mundigi, Embu County.
Senator Esther? Yeah. Yes, yes. Then you can make your comment after the statement from Senator Esther.
Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on the status and welfare of baby Sagini Jr., whose eyes were gouged out after he was allegedly abducted by his relatives. In the statement, the committee should appraise the Senate on the status and welfare of baby Junior Sagini, indicating measures the government has taken in ensuring adequate provision of all his basic needs. 2, state mechanisms, if any, that the government has put in place to ensure effective and efficient response to reported cases of child abuse, neglect, and violence at county and sub-county levels. 3, outline the plans, if any, that the government has put in place to provide for specially trained and designated public prosecutors to handle cases of child abuse and in ensuring the child protection centers are managed by trained counselors. 4, shed light on the loopholes and challenges affecting the realization and implementation of comprehensive child protection services in Kenya. And finally, recommend measures that can be adopted to increase public awareness and sensitization on the widespread challenge of child abuse, neglect, and violence in Kenya. My other statement, Mr. Speaker, I also rise pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 to make a statement on the issue of general topical concern, namely the state of child protection services in Kenya and the manner in which child abuse cases are being reported and handled. Mr. Speaker, sir, according to a new national study conducted by the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, 1 in 2 young adults in Kenya experienced violence as a child, whether physical, sexual, or emotional. One example that stood out recently is the very sad and unfortunate case of baby Sagini, an innocent 3-year-old boy who was left blind after his close relatives gouged out his eyes. It then begs the question, what's the problem and where is the help for those vulnerable children that so desperately need it? Mr. Speaker, sir, Article 53(1)(d) of the Constitution states that every child has the right to be protected from abuse, neglect, harmful cultural practices, all forms of violence, inhumane treatment and punishment, and hazardous or exploitative labor. The rights of children have also been protected and preserved by a number of legislation, including the Children's Act 2022 and the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Other strategies and policies have also been put in place at the policy level to address the matter of child protection. Mr. Speaker, sir, all this support my earlier assertion that despite the government's robust legal and policy framework for protecting children, thousands of young Kenyans experience violence, abuse, and neglect every year. This results in impairment of their chances for long-term health and well-being, education, as well as professional success. It's evident from the foregoing that the problem with the current status of child protection services is in the implementation, not in our constitution, laws, or policies. Mr. Speaker, sir, in order to safeguard children from abuse, neglect, violence, and exploitation, I want to emphasize the importance of putting in place an efficient child protection system. While appreciating the country's efforts to enact the proper laws and policies, including the ratification of the Convention on the Rights of the Child, it's crucial to ensure that sufficient resources are provided in order to put these laws and policies into action. This may be achieved through strengthening comprehensive child protection services and implementing particular interventions such as 1, establishment of child protection centers in every sub-county. 2, the development of an integrated data management system for children. 3, the implementation of children rehabilitation programs. 4, facilitation of alternative family care services, that is adoption, foster care, and guardianship. And finally, the finalization and implementation of the National Community Development Policy. I now call upon this Senate, being the protector of county government, to ensure the above interventions are followed up through the relevant standing committee to ensure implementation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next order. Oh, sorry. There are comments from a few senators. Senator Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me this chance. You know, we have long established a tradition, Mr. Speaker, that when time allows, sometimes, and colleagues brings statements that are topical, and maybe for one reason or the other, we feel that the need to either enrich or just give a general comment on the statements, we are permitted. So thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me this chance, and I believe maybe the rest of my colleagues as well. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the statement by Senator Mundigi, only that I wish to request that the same actually, as TSC brings a report before the Education Committee, the same can be expanded so that we get a countrywide report as opposed to the report of Embu County alone. The reason I say this, Mr. Speaker, is that I know during our campaigns, Mr. Speaker, and you know this for a fact, and the rest of our colleagues who campaigned with us, that every time we visited various far-flung part of the country, Mr. Speaker, teachers will arise in our meetings and demand an end to this delocalization policy in the form and structure that it is currently being executed, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there are benefits, there are pros and cons. Benefits to this delocalization policy that TSC can espouse on, and when you listen to them, it makes sense. The only bit that I do not agree with, Mr. Speaker, is where it almost becomes either forceful or even sometimes, as is the case nowadays, increasingly becoming the case in TSC, when it is used actually as a form of punishment. When you find a teacher, say from Meru, from Embu, being told to go and teach in a far-flung primary school somewhere in Lamu
or in Ugunja and Siaya, you know, parts of the country that they have never been, they have no relatives, they have nothing to do there. And you understand, Mr. Speaker, the salary of a teacher, you know, because there's nothing extra that teachers are being paid, those that are teaching outside what will naturally pass as their home. Mr. Speaker, if you recall back in the day, and you observed, teachers were very much revered back in the village. I say this, Mr. Speaker, because I know the kind of respect we used to accord to teachers in the community where we grew up. And that afforded us the chance to be disciplined, Mr. Speaker, because it meant that when you ran into a teacher, it was not only that you feared them in classrooms, but even deep down in the community, whenever you saw a teacher, you knew that discipline had to be maintained. That is not the case anymore, Mr. Speaker, because if you bring a teacher who's from outside the region or the locality where the kid or the children come from, Mr. Speaker, there are many things that that particular teacher or the student will even struggle with. Cultural issues, understanding the background of where the kids come from. Mr. Speaker, this is one policy that needs to be properly thought out. I am not fully opposed to it per se, Mr. Speaker, but I feel that it is mostly perhaps should be carried out in a more consultative manner, and ensuring that the teachers who are willing are given first priority, Mr. Speaker. Because amongst themselves, there are teachers who want to trade places. You'll find a teacher who is in Meru and wants to teach in Embu, and another one who's in Embu and wants to teach in Meru. Through their own ways and means, they can engage. If it fits the bill, you can do the transfer, Mr. Speaker. But as it is the case today, TSC has a firm iron fist on this particular policy, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I support the statement by Senator Mundigi. I know this was a campaign promise that we made as an administration, and it is important that Chairman Senator Joe Nyotu and his Education Committee brings the Senate up to speed in terms of explaining to us how far this policy has reached. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the chance.
Senator Sigei Wakili Hilary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support the statement that has been sought by the Honorable Senator Mundigi. And, Mr. Speaker, I am aware that following interventions that came in sometimes in the last month, even the Speaker of the National Assembly made a finding on the status or the legality of the policy on delocalization. Indeed, as the majority leader has submitted before this House, there are benefits that come with teachers being transferred to their home areas. There are equally benefits that come with teachers teaching from far-flung areas. But, Mr. Speaker, the policy, as it has been put, has got its own challenges. Majorly is the foundation which led to the discussion and a very lengthy conversation about the ability of the teacher to teach in places where, number one, they are even unable to get places of residence. For instance, Mr. Speaker, from my county, there are schools where principals or head teachers of such institutions are unable to get places of residence and are therefore assimilated by the community. It takes a long time for them to be able to even adapt to the kind of environment that they are expected to live in, and as a consequence, their ability to deliver, to work within the institution is hampered. Similarly, Mr. Speaker, the policy at some instances, because we have got statistics from among our members of the Teachers Service Commission, where somebody has got 1 year or 2 years to retire from the teaching profession, is sent to a place where he or she do not get the means of transport. And when we speak into such issues, Mr. Speaker, you realize that the policy has been applied not for purposes of the benefits that comes with it, but as a tool for punishing some of the teachers. Mr. Speaker,
the position that was taken, that has been taken, and the communication that came from the Teachers Service Commission that this ought to have ended by the 31st of last month has not been achieved. Mr. Speaker, I am aware from my county, for instance, over 85 teachers are stationed in one county called Bungoma, and at the expense of them teaching, their business have been camping in the regional Teachers Service Commission offices as they await for their delocalization back to their areas of residence. And Mr. Speaker, that in itself has hampered their ability to teach. They have been unable to even run to serve in the places where they're supposed to be. And as we await for the Teacher Service Commission to issue a statement or a report, as we have been notified, they should be able also to fast track and process the applications which are pending, so that the teachers who have made applications are allowed to go back to their places, and they are also given the opportunity to teach and serve the children and the parents from their places where they are able to do the best in terms of what teaching is expected of them. Mr. Speaker, I therefore encourage the chairperson of the Education Committee, if there is anything that he can do together with his team to make sure that this policy, as it has been decided, be let off so that our teachers are allowed to go back to their places, to have their families, and to do that which they are paid to do, rather than camping in their regions asking for their transfers back to their place. Mr. Speaker, I support and I encourage the Teacher Service Commission to implement this as soon as they are able to. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator William Cheptumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to thank the Senator for his statement. And Mr. Speaker, I really support this statement because across the country, there has been serious complaints on the fact that the localization program initially, Mr. Speaker, was meant to achieve a very important principle of ensuring that we can be able to exchange members of teachers in various countries, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in Baringo County, for example, we have had a challenge of insecurity, Mr. Speaker.